Welcome to Series 2, Episode 20 of the Me and ADHD podcast. In this episode, I thought I'd do something a little different from the norm and bring on a previous guest to go through some questions for me. So I'll be sitting in the hot seat today and answering the questions regarding my journey so far. I have literally no idea what will be asked. So I've got nothing prepped. I've got no notes in front of me. So this, in all fairness, could be horrible for me. But we'll find out in a minute. So, so today we have Steph Meissner from Instagram's Scleroderma Hacks. Hello, Steph.
Hi, Darren. Right, so shall I just fire off with questions?
You go for it. You are the
Okay.
interviewer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, First question. Since diagnosis, what is your best change
Oh,
that you have noticed within yourself?
um,
And
I
maybe how
think
other people have treated you as well?
I think that the best change. I think the most significant change is once I started the medication. It took a lot longer for me to get overwhelmed and overstimulated. So I could there's a lot of noise I found that I get overstimulated with, which I didn't know beforehand. Um, but then realized obviously this is really playing on me. But yeah, so it's that to be able to have a calmer head and not get overstimulated so quickly because that used to happen really quickly. Um,
At that time, did you actually know what it was, or were you kind of berating yourself for that?
when I got diagnosed,
No, the overstimulation
yeah.
prior to knowing about ADHD and everything that goes with it.
Oh
Did you
no,
know context to it? That's
no. Yeah, no context. I couldn't understand why this was going on, and it's only been going on for a few years. But I just didn't understand it, and it used to really upset me. It used to Oh man, it was like frustrating and overwhelming, and that needs to stop. And it was the first time, 'cause I said before that everything beforehand I used to be able to internalize. Everyone says, "Oh, Darren's really laid back and all that," but not outwardly, yes, but inside, I know. But this was, I couldn't hold it in. It was just being, shown, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I no one else liked it either.
no.
And that was one of the main reasons why I got assessed, because
Okay.
I wanted to. Because if I did get diagnosed, my knowledge at that time was, yes, I'll definitely go on medication in the hope that the medication will sort this out, because this is the biggest thing in my life right now that is really getting in the way. Um, and I had no idea at that time if medication would work, if it had anything to do with the ADHD. But that was my where my head was at the time.
So medication's been really a positive thing for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know it's not for everyone, but
Yeah, absolutely.
that's that's the biggest thing that comes from the medication for me is to help me with that. So if it didn't help with anything else, I don't care. That's the main thing. It has helped me with other things, but that's the main thing it's helped me with. So
Yeah, because it was the thing that was holding you back almost, and probably contributed to your any negative self.
oh god,
Um,
yes. Self
yeah,
doubt. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yes. It was awful. Um it was really, really awful. My son verbally stims, and a lot of the noises coming from that was setting me off.
Okay.
I just couldn't understand why. Couldn't understand why, and it's immediate as well. So please stop. stop.
That's tough.
Um, but yeah, with a medication, I can think more, clearer. I've put strategies in place as well now, and now I've learned how to do all that. So yeah, it's a lot better for me.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, I mean, as what would you say was the worst thing? Is there a worse side to your diagnosis? Has anything
Good,
negative
good,
come out of
good question. I no, excuse me, not for me. Um, no, not for me.
Well, that's the
Because
thing.
yeah, no, it's been all positive as much as it can be positive. Um, it's the knowledge, I've got the answers for all the questions, the answers for why my life has been my life. Um, so in my head, it's a positive thing because I've got those answers. It doesn't matter about the diagnosis. I've got the answers, and now I've got strategies in place. And you know, um, I guess the only downside is it's ADHD. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah, I guess there's that way of looking at it. And you're echoing what I've heard from a lot of people that have got their diagnosis of ADHD and what I'm hoping for with mine. So,
Yeah, answers is key. It helps you understand yourself better, which is what you need.
yeah,
And then to look at the strategies and understand why you put strategies in place, and how they can help,
yeah,
basically.
okay. So, what about the people that surround you? Since diagnosis, has it made them more understanding? Are you able to, because a lot of what I've read is people really struggle with being able to verbalize what's going on, and the way they verbalize it doesn't describe it. So, since diagnosis, is that easier for you?
Yes, yes, a lot easier. Because I said beforehand, nothing really makes sense. So you can't really put words to it because you're not sure about what is going on.
Mm,
Um, but when you get the diagnosis, I mean, you do a lot of research beforehand. Yes,
yeah,
pretty much everyone else has. You do the research, but you carry on doing the research as well. And for me, I'm not someone who can jump on the bandwagon, so to speak. I can't just say yes, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. I have to look at each part of my ADHD or each part of my life, each struggle that I have, and then go and have a look at, all right, where does this fit in with ADHD? Does it fit in with ADHD? What does it mean? What's it called? And what can I do, to help and support myself? And there are a few things that, oh, okay, that isn't anything to do with ADHD. It can be exacerbated by ADHD, but it's not ADHD. Um, and there's things like hyperactivity.
yeah,
I am predominantly inattentive. My hyperactiveness is in my head. I tap my toes and I play with things and fidget things. But I'm not bouncing off the walls. So I don't talk about that. I don't talk about my hyperactivity because it's not my ADHD. So I have to know it, be comfortable with knowing actually that is part of my ADHD to then talk about it. There are still some things like the RSD, which is weird to explain.
mm,
With beforehand, it's very, very hard. I think a couple of podcasts ago, I mentioned that when when you talk about ADHD, RSD, or when you hear about it on YouTube or whatever, they always talk about kind of like big things that have happened, but then you just blow it out of proportion, kind of thing. But that's for me, that's not the worst part of it. If I'm at trouble, at work or something, or we've had an argument or something like that, and I've blown out of proportion, that doesn't really happen for me. It's the little insignificant things that happen all the time for me, which have kind of, I guess, controlled my life, I guess, in many ways. So if someone doesn't smile at you that normally smiles at you,
yeah,
those
Like
things.
that.
You're having a conversation by text, and then all of a sudden they don't respond.
Mhm.
I mean, they could be, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and they could have fallen asleep. You know what I mean? But you don't think that it's the whole, I've insulted them. They'd hate me now. It's going to be really bad, and it's like, oh, and it's hard to explain those things. It's hard to explain. The example I used to give was, my wife comes home, and I go to give her a hug, and she comes in, and she kind of like sort of shrugs me away, and I think, all of a sudden, what have I done? It's all my fault. Relationship is coming to an end. She doesn't love me anymore. I'm an awful husband. I'm an awful person, and it's real gut wrenching, real, really painful, and totally putting to one side that she's got like a cup of coffee in one hand and a cake in the other hand, that she doesn't want to drop them, and you know what I mean. And it's hard to explain things like that.
It must,
To
it must have been a relief for you when you got your diagnosis of ADHD to know that that was all part of it, because it does to be like that does make me feel quite broken. So to have your explanation of why that happens must have been a huge relief.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and the RSD and my focus were the two things out of my diagnosis, I guess, that was very, very obvious. I didn't have to do much research to work out if my not being able to concentrate or my RSD was a part of my ADHD, you know, because it was really, really obvious. Um, but yeah, to understand it it makes sense now, makes it easier. Doesn't go away. It's still there. It's still in full effect.
You know why
But
then?
but I know why, and I've got this little person on my shoulder now saying it's not real. Don't worry, it's okay. And now, rather than me just dwelling on it and just feeling awful and down, and my world is coming to an end for
Mm.
hours or days or weeks, it's just minutes. You
Yeah, that's
know,
positive, isn't it?
yeah. So it brings reality. For me, it brings reality into it. I think
Mm.
this is you're blowing it out of proportion. It's okay. It's your RSD. It's not real. You haven't had the worst argument you've ever had and insulted these people or whatever.
Yeah,
It's not the case. You think it is, but it's
no.
okay. It's gonna pass, and everything is okay. Um, so yeah, that's what I've got on my shoulder every time that happens, and it happens all the time, multiple times a day, every day. So that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, it's a lot more positive. Since diagnosis, a lot of people have kind of talked about, especially particularly late diagnosed people, of that anger of like how different my life could have looked, how sort of that they've been sort of forgotten, sort of the system hasn't been there for them. Have you gone through that phase at all?
I can honestly say no. Um, I'm not 100% sure why. I think it's because, again, putting in, the reality of everything. I'm 53. When I
Yeah.
was a kid, yes, ADHD has been around for a very long time, and they've known about it for a very long time. It wasn't talked about, just like back when I was a kid, depression wasn't talked about.
Mm.
To be fair, back when I was a kid, women still stayed in the kitchen and men go off to work, kind of thing. Um, so I can't blame anyone for not picking it up, because nothing was picked up, back in those days.
You
So no,
didn't.
I don't dwell on that.
Yeah, you didn't have the obvious ADHD, did you? I mean, the picture of ADHD was somebody literally bouncing off the walls and couldn't control themselves.
Yeah,
So
the naughty boy syndrome thing that was going on back then, that was ADHD. Was, yeah, bouncing off the walls and getting in trouble at school. I didn't get in trouble at school. I was sitting. I tried to do my work, and I mean, didn't
so
do my work because I couldn't remember what it was. But it's yeah. So I was never in trouble. I hate getting in trouble. Always hate getting in trouble. So I was a good kid. Just couldn't focus on actually doing any schoolwork or listening.
Yeah, but I guess for me, it's you think everybody's like it. It's only when you get older you sort of start questioning those things because other people don't seem to react the same way you do, or they get you wrong or misread you.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, because you don't know any different than what you are, do you?
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. It was my reality, and that's just normal. In the classroom, always talking, looking at the teacher when they're talking. I wasn't looking out the window, and I'm because I'm really trying to, concentrate on what they're saying, but not getting it.
And
So
that must,
then, for the people next to me, they always think that I'm trying to copy them and
mm,
getting annoyed with me, but I wasn't trying to copy them. I was trying to work out what the hell we're trying to do. What are we meant to be doing? I know she said something. I just don't know what it was. So I'm having a look to see if I get it. Okay, I'll start writing stuff.
yeah.
But
And that is exhausting, isn't it? Because you're having to try 100 times harder than other people, and it's not because you're stupid or you don't care or any of those factors. It's just the way your brain works.
yeah, yeah.
So, right, to questions. Sorry, this is my first time doing a podcast, as in asking questions. We thought we'd mix it up a bit, and so I'm a bit stiff. So bear with me. So, how different do you feel your life would have been had you known about sort of ADHD at an early age?
Ooh, I don't know. I really don't know. My When I was younger, the main issue that I was coming up with, apart from school, was I got bullied. Um, and that was a racism thing as opposed to, we hate people with neurodivergency because no one thought about that. So that was the main focus. And I can't see that would have changed anything regarding how I reacted or maybe how I dealt with it. Maybe because I could think clearer, cleaner. Oh my God. Anyway, I could think better. I could think better and be more level-headed about sort of my reactions and things like that, and how I took things. So maybe that would have changed,
I,
but I don't. I
I
don't. I don't think life would have changed that much. I don't think.
I was of it from the angle of having more, because a lot of us suffer with self-esteem issues, like you said, rejection sensitivity issues, like sort of turning all this stuff inwards and hating on ourselves. So I was thinking, if you were free from all those things, what would you have done? Would it have looked different?
I don't. Yeah, again, I don't know because the racism thing, the bullying was such a big
Yeah.
part of my youth, and that took over. So I still got the your rubbish, all the negative connotations, all the everything thrown at me. So that's
Yeah.
what So I will still get that.
Yeah.
Medication. If I went on medication, that might have helped me to process it better and understand it better and deal with it better. But I don't know. Um,
Being bullied is a different thing, isn't it? It affects
yeah,
everybody's self-esteem and confidence. You don't have to
yeah.
be divergent, do you, for it to kind of have
No, no,
that.
no, absolutely. So yeah, so I honestly think if it wasn't for the bullying, I think yeah, it would have made a massive difference. Um, because it would have given me an education for starters. Um, I'm if God, I'm self-educated, I guess. Because my education at school was rubbish. Because I couldn't take anything in, you know. So I really struggled at school. I didn't really get into trouble or anything. I got into trouble because I'd done the wrong homework, answered the wrong questions, and things like that. But yeah, my education was rubbish until I found a subject that's for some reason just sunk in. Um,
What was that?
I joined a gym opposite school actually because I wanted to get bigger, stronger, and just deal with the bullies and all that. And got working out, got bigger, got stronger. Weirdly enough, the bullying stopped. Go
Mm.
figure. And but I found that the information I was getting, looking at the muscles and how the body works and things like that, for some reason all stuck in my head. I could take that information in, I could remember it. No idea why.
Because you
No
were
idea why.
interested.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was really
Okay.
interested in it. But I'm a photographer and I'm really interested in photography. I can't remember lots of things about photography. I've got to,
Mm.
I can't take that information anywhere near as well as I could do when it comes to human anatomy and exercise and stuff like that. But um, yeah, that's when I started really sort of gaining an education, um, because that's a topic that I didn't have to read a whole page to understand. I could skim read and it made sense. It just clicked,
That's
everything which
amazing.
made sense. Um, so it's really hard to explain, I guess. But yeah, if anything else, I have to read the whole thing to try and make sense of it.
Yeah.
Even ADHD, I have to read the whole thing. Thank you, medication, for allowing me to read, but I'll still have to read the whole thing to try and understand it. Whereas, anatomy and physiology, but I wouldn't, because of, if I can miss words out, I can miss ands and ifs and all these other filler words and just get the main words and it would just make sense.
That's
Um, and I know I loved it. I thought it was great. And I stuck with it a while because it was the one topic I was
amazing.
really good at. So, but I wish I did that at school. Would have been easier.
Yeah, but like we spoke about, bullying impacts anybody's confidence, self-esteem. I myself was bullied, but like I didn't do the gym, but I changed the way I looked. I stuck my hair up here, rolled up my skirt, and then nobody picked on me anymore. It's you change. Sometimes you kind of change the outer layers, or kind of, yeah, like you did. And you think it's the outer layers, but it isn't. It's what's coming out of you, isn't it?
Yeah,
More
yeah, yeah,
confident.
yeah. You build up your confidence in whatever way, be it through a mask or be it through, I don't know, changing your thought processes and changing the way you look. You end up showing confidence.
Yeah,
It makes a difference to other people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, bullies will pick on somebody they deem as weaker. So if they don't deem you as that, then you're not kind of yeah, you're not fodder for them, then, are you?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I so really wanted to hurt them. I got to be honest. I really want. I really. It was to get bigger, get stronger. So when they came at me, I had something to give back.
Have you seen any of them since school?
Oh no! I mean that's been obviously a long time because I'm old now. Um,
We're
but
old now.
yeah,
We're
but
baby old people. That's how I term it. We're on the young spectrum of being old, aren't we?
we yeah. I was looking at this the other day, and middle aged. I'm middle aged. Apparently, middle aged is from about 40 upwards.
Seriously?
Yeah, 40 to 65 approximately. That's 40 is middle. I can't think of 40 being middle aged. Got to be honest with you. But anyway,
No. No. Do you think that's a thing that you can attribute to ADHD? My dad was like Peter Pan, and I haven't really grown up in a lot of those ways, and that's something I'm noticing about the ADHD community. That kind of Peter Pan type thing.
in sort of how
Neurodiversity. I'm
How we act, humor, all that kind of thing? Or
I don't know, a youth that shines out.
are you saying that I look like I'm in my 20s?
I'm talking about sort of how, not just the physical, I'm talking about sort of all of it.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've not seen you in real life. This is the camera screen. How can I tell this?
I mean, possibly, because I mean, sometimes there's, I guess, a certain energy, a certain vibe, a certain in certain situations, everything comes out, and yeah, it can show off, like say, your, I guess, your self. I can't even think of the word now. A bit of self belief and how you feel about yourself in certain situations. I guess, it comes across. Um, I don't think I don't think I act like a 53-year-old. I don't feel 50. Well, my body feels 63.
You
Um,
don't look it either through a camera anyway.
thanks. Even to you. But it's
I don't feel in my 50s. I think I'm still in my 30s, and then I get a shock when I look at myself with reading glasses on.
just yeah. It is weird, and like young people just won't understand, but it'll hit them in time. But yeah, it's a strange feeling when you feel younger, a lot younger, you know, but you're just not. You're just not. Um, some things are just not appropriate for me anymore in my 50s. Uh,
I don't know.
yeah,
I'm finding 50s now. Now I'm kind of moved through the 50 stage. I'm finding it quite liberating. Is in you care. I've cared too much all my life, and I've put other people's feelings and things before my own constantly. But
yeah,
I'm finding the 50s very liberating from that point of view because, well, you've done a lot of life, haven't you? Half a century.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, in some ways, I'm finding it quite freeing in a way.
There are certain aspects to it like that. Yeah, I mean, I've done a huge journey, and my thought processes now and how I look at things, certain aspects of my life. Some of it I just don't give a anymore. Some of
No.
it I just don't. Maybe it's because of my age. Maybe it's because of lived experience. Maybe it's because of the situation I'm in now. I can afford to say I don't care about certain things. Don't care anymore. Used to, but I don't care anymore. But on the flip side of that, there's plenty of things that I still really do care about. Um,
So,
so
prioritizing, you've kind of prioritized.
yes, yeah. I mean, I have a family now, a wife and child, and that's the priority, and will always be the priority. Um, Whether I want it to be or not well, not me, but as a parent, whether you want that to be your priority or not, it's your priority. So you got kids, it's your priority. Bar none. That is it. Um, it's just that's just life. But it's one of those things that sometimes though you have to prioritize yourself to then prioritize your family, or so you got to look after yourself as well. Um,
Do
because
you find that difficult? I mean, without somebody to kind of be around you, without prompts and stuff like that, like, would you like for instance, like brushing teeth? Yeah, it's not something I automatically do. Everything is a massive task, like a bath, like all these things, like food. It's a huge task. But are you good at doing that kind of stuff?
in a lot of cases, yeah. I live by, I guess, I live by routines,
Okay.
um, and I have to have these routines in place for I guess peace of mind. Um, and that's another thing, I guess, as part of my ADHD. I've always had these things I have to do, not an OCD thing. I did a lot of thinking about this, and because it happens, this my whole world is surrounded by routine, and I hate breaking my routine because it's not it's not it makes me feel really horrible and uncomfortable inside. Things started to go wrong as well, and I couldn't understand why. But now I do. I read a book, I think my third book, that I read, how to ADHD, and uh, the lady who wrote that, she has a YouTube um, channel called How to ADHD, um, and that's the first channel I used to watch when I started my journey, I guess, and learning about it. And she wrote a book, came out last year, and I thought, okay, I get it. And I was reading it, quite a thick book, but really, really good book. And there's a part of it that she said, she explained exactly the same thing as I do. And this is something that I thought maybe was an autistic trait. You know, ADHDers, they like to do, different things and be spontaneous and da 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 da, mix it up and new things. And I'm like, no, no, routine. I need routine. And it's situational routines for me. It's not like in the mornings, this is how my, from the morning to the evening, this is how my day needs to go. It's not that. It's whatever activity I'm doing, this is how it's done. This is how I approach it. This is what goes on. And she calls it manual mode. And so basically, she says, when she used to work and she used to use a computer, she used to be a server in a restaurant, and using the software, it was nice and easy. Great, fantastic, no problem at all. Did it really quickly, great. But when they changed the software,
Mm.
all of a sudden she became the slowest, and she really struggled with it. And she says because now it's different and it's not just automatic. Now she's got to use her executive function, which is rubbish, to then sort of do the task. It became a lot harder. And I was reading it thinking, damn it, yes, it makes absolutely, you know, everything I do, I try to. It's automatic. I don't want to think about it. It's hard to work things out, to use my executive function, to organize, to work out what I'm going to do now and next, and then memorize everything. No, just I need easiness in my life. It needs to be easy for my head, and that's why I have all these things that I just have to do a certain way because I don't have to think about it. Even when I shower, walking my son to school in his old school, I used to, the same route, cross the road at the same place, um, and it's this no reason why. My wife, why are you crossing here for? It'd be better to cross over there. I'm like, no, I cross here. I cross here. This is where I cross. Because if I have to go somewhere differently, now I have to think about looking down a different road now to have a look to make sure I've got to switch back on again. And I don't want to switch back on because it's hard.
You've kind of, in a nutshell, explained to me, like, I like quite good at my job, good at this, good at that. Just didn't think about that. We just did things and sort of. Then when I hit menopause and I also got scleroderma and sort of other things, I just everything became a task and it was like relearning. And what you just described, it kind of sums that kind of thing up of why suddenly things are difficult that you've been doing because you have to do it in a different way when you've got sort of physical issues and stuff. So
Yeah.
you've got to rewrite the whole script of living almost.
Yeah, it's really really difficult, and I find I forget my working memory is rubbish. So if I do things in a slightly different way, let's just say I'm cooking. I'm cooking a korma. You know, I'll get the wok out. I'll get the saucepan out for the rice. I'll get I'll put the oil in the wok. I get the spatula out and the spoon out. I'll get the korma paste jar. I'll put it onto the left hand side. I put the cream onto the left hand side, and then the spoon. So it's all there, and then you also you cook it and everything. But if I'll get the naan bread out and put it on the worktop behind.
Yeah,
So if for whatever reason I'm doing that, and I like to be in the kitchen on my own, so no one disturbs me, so I can just crack on. So if my son or my wife come in and they start talking to me while I'm cooking or while I'm putting everything together, chances are I'm going to forget something.
yeah,
So I'm going to forget to get, say, the naan out.
yeah.
Okay, so now I've forgotten the naan out, and I'm doing everything, and the naan's not there. My routine has now changed.
Mm,
So now the chances are something's going to happen where I'm going to forget to do something. I'm going to forget to get it out at the right time. I'm going to forget to when I'm doing this because I've done it at the wrong time now.
yeah.
I'm not stirring it enough, so it may be stuck at the bottom, or I might have forgotten to put something in, and you know what I mean. It's things start to go wrong.
It,
Um,
it's shocking, really, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. No, I totally get what you mean. I really, really do. And if anybody disturbs you while doing that, it's kind of it's major because it disrupts everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do this. I need to do this in in autopilot.
Yeah.
Because if the pilot switches on, the pilot can't fly the plane, okay? He hasn't passed the test. He hasn't passed the test. So just keep it on autopilot and everything will be fine.
Yeah, no, sorry, but you kind of like there's things that I do now that I have to do, yeah, I have to do it in that way to be able to do it. And any discourse, I'm suddenly like, oh,
It's
it's ridiculous, but
it,
it's part of it, I guess.
yeah, it is. It's one of these little things that are not really talked about and they're not mentioned. That you definitely don't go through it in an assessment or diagnosis or anything. It's like even having a shower. I'll shower a certain way. I'll do body part by body part. I'll do the right side first and all this. But if then my wife comes in, my son comes in and talks to me or whatever, asks me a question, I'm gonna forget a body part
Mm.
and I'm gonna get out of the shower and I'm like, oh,
Could have smelly bit.
ah, I haven't washed my feet or I haven't, done my face or things then start to go wrong. It's not like the end of the world.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm not gonna have a meltdown. I'm not gonna, you know, but things start to fall apart because I've forgotten certain things,
Yeah,
and then I have to think. And if it depends on what it is as well, because if we're going out or the situation continues, and I still have to keep on thinking. So we've gone out somewhere, I don't know, or I've gone to work or anywhere and my routine is completely gone, but I have to then still continue and it continues and continues and all the other routines are been messed up. Now I'm going to start getting overwhelmed because my brain now is working a lot harder and trying to work things out. So I've got it could be sensory issues. I've also got some extra noise coming in. I've got to listen to people. I've got to talk, think, and answer back and work things out. Um, and do extra things now. So I'm getting cognitive overload as well. So it all gets a bit too much. Just everyone leave me alone so I can just calm and then get my routine back.
but having that diagnosis and actually understanding those processes and actually it's normal for that must be such a huge relief because I don't suppose because you were undiagnosed for most of your life, you've had to put in place these coping strategies and not have the answers for why is that so difficult for you but so easy for other people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your self-talk, has it become less of a bully?
No. I'll explain why. I think I've when I got my diagnosis and doing the research and all that, it was really, really easy for me to go, right, I've just cut myself a load of slack from the past.
Yeah.
And that was nice. That was nice to go, all those things I can't believe I did or didn't do or acted that way or whatever. All the jobs I had, it's just, oh, I can't keep, well, I could keep a job, but I just couldn't stay because I got overwhelmed and I just moved to a different job. I was like, that's not right. But now it's like, now I know why. Great. The past, cut a lot of slack. I'm not going to worry about that anymore. But I'm not in a place where I can cut myself some slack now and for the future. So that I'm still working on that.
But having a bit of it, like staying humble and kind of have it, because what what you don't want to do, what I don't want to do when I get a diagnosis is make excuses.
Yeah.
I'm just going to behave like a shitty human because, oh, I can blame it on something.
Yeah.
And
No,
so it's good to keep humility, and it's good to question yourself, I think, but not bully yourself.
yeah. I mean, I'm for me, I do put things down for myself, not for anyone else. I put things down. Why am I not doing this? Oh, it's this, and because it's this, and it's I'm doing it this. I'm coming up to get away from everything because of sensory overload, because of the ADHD. Okay, so I'm making it. It makes sense to me. Um, I procrastinate, or what do you call it? Choice paralysis, whatever you want to call it. I can't, I just can't get things done. I can't work out which to do first. Da, da, da. Okay, this is what it is. This is why it's happening. So, but I do that. I break it down. I understand what's going on. I can't necessarily do much about it, but I hate my ADHD. Not one of these people who goes, it's a superpower or there's some part of it that's brilliant. And no, I don't like it. I don't want it. Um, it sucks ass big time. Um, I'm happy I got the diagnosis because it gave me answers. And it's the answers that I need for the understanding. I'm understanding myself. That's probably the only thing that the diagnosis has really helped me with in some respects is I'm understanding myself now, which I needed to do. But I hate it. I don't want it. I want it gone.
I was going to ask you, Darren, what misconception around ADHD grinds your bones the most?
Oh, okay.
Grind
Yeah,
your
that's
gears,
it.
not grind your bones. Yeah, grind your gears.
Um, I think. I mean, there's quite a few things that kind of annoy me, that the misconceptions and stuff like that. I think that the one that has started to really boil my is is I see a lot of stuff at the moment online about women's presentation of ADHD, women's ADHD, and I've heard a few ladies saying, "Oh, you've got the male presentation," and it's like, oh, that started to really the women's presentation is predominantly inattentive.
Yeah,
Women get missed because of this is their when when the ADHD when they first sort of named it ADHD, I think it's 80s 90s. um Before that, it was ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, which is the inattention side, right? It was ADD with or without hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So the inattention part of it is a huge part, should be a huge part of it anyway. That's the main key element. And why are they starting to say that's the women's part? Because women at that point couldn't get it. Either could men, actually. Either could girls. It was just naughty boys. Um, so to start saying things like this is a women's presentation. No, not. I've spoken to a lot of people. Okay, as yet, I've yet to meet anyone, any woman, any girl, any lady, any female with inattentive ADHD. I am literally the only person that I know with predominantly inattentive ADHD. Everyone else is combined.
All right. Okay.
Okay, everyone else is combined that I've talked to. I know that is. I think it's 20 to 30% of ADHDs are inattentive, 15% hyperactive, impulsive, and then the rest of it is like combined. And I'm guessing those percentages will change as more and more people are getting sort of assessed and diagnosed, and they understand it better. But yeah, I don't know anyone else who's inattentive. Every female that I've spoken to, everyone who's been on my podcast, um, all combined. So it's really annoying that they are doing that, and I guess all in the wording. I guess that it's the women's presentation.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we are where we are now in society is because it's a little boys thing.
Mm.
Okay, little boys, little naughty boys have ADHD. Girls don't get it. Adults don't get it, and society has stuck with that for such a long time. So why are we going to a now a woman's thing? It's not gender
Yeah. Yeah.
specific.
I
You
see what
know,
you're saying. Yeah.
because if you start going, this is a women's thing,
Mm.
okay, then you're going to miss
Yeah.
the men who have inattention ADHD.
Making the
And
same mistake,
yeah,
history repeating itself. You're kind of,
absolutely.
you're kind of going down this sort of straight route when it isn't straight, is it? It's not sex
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, it's not that at all. It's, yes, at the moment they're saying more women present as inattentive than combined or whatever, which is fine. But we don't want to start saying it's a women's presentation because it's anyone's presentation. Okay, don't start missing people out. Just know what inattentive ADHD is, know what combined is, know what hyperactive, impulsive is, so you know it, and then look at everyone with that, and then work out which one it is. Okay, don't start with this male and female thing because that messed this up for a long time. It set us back many years.
I think there is a massive drive because, like for myself, I wouldn't have ever known about ADHD if it hadn't been for menopause. And I think with menopause, a lot of women are finding they're unraveling and not realizing that they've been wearing a mask until suddenly they can, and suddenly those things they could do suddenly cannot. So I suppose that may be caught up in the movement of that when kind of, yeah, I suppose it depends who you're watching and what kind of context people mean things in.
Yeah, I think people need to just be careful of their wordings, and I try to be good with my how I know I'm rubbish at explaining stuff. I understand that, and I'll waffle on. However, I just think we do need to be careful because yes, absolutely, there's a difference in um, the presentation or what's going on through menopause periods.
Yeah,
Um, there are certain things. But there's a lot of things that can exacerbate the symptoms, and I think we need to, if we're talking about ADHD, we need to talk about ADHD. This is ADHD.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and then talk about the stuff on top. So it's yeah. I think that's the worst. I think that's one that annoys me the most because I hear it a lot at the moment. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not women's ADHD. It's
It
ADHD.
yeah, it must make you feel in a way not silenced, but hang on a minute, I'm a man. Like,
This is, well,
yeah,
this is it. It's like yet again. It's like all my life I'm not good enough. Right, all my life I'm not good enough, and all this, and now I can't even pick the right gender specific type of ADHD. In hell,
one
you
way to
know,
look at it.
Christ, I can't get anything right. You know, so it's like, no, don't do it. Don't say that.
But I'm sure you can sort of come up with a podcast that can kind of discuss this in greater length with somebody maybe with a similar diagnosis to you. Unmasking. Let's talk unmasking.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Did you even know you were wearing a mask? And if so, when did it start slipping? Or and also kind of who are you most comfortable with to a mask? Fellow ADHDers or friends and family?
Ooh, okay. So first one then. When did I start unmasking? When I got diagnosed. I think. I think. I think. Well, that's when I purposely started unmasking. I know when I'm beforehand because I do a lot of photography. If I'm out and about, generally on my own, then I am just me. But there's no one else around to see the unmasking or put on a mask for. So you know. But once I got diagnosed and I started to understand things, I started to unmask in certain areas. But at the same time, I do think that masking is okay and it's normal. I give it context. Masking 24 hours a day, 52 weeks a year, and for decades is not normal. That's far from normal. It's the opposite of normal. Um, but situational wise, we all mask.
Mm,
So it's okay to mask from time to time if it gets you through a situation and stuff. You know, I've said before about you go for a job interview, you are not generally your real authentic self in a job interview.
no
You go
way.
and meet your future in-laws for the first time, or depending on how they are, you're probably not going to be your
Mm,
authentic self, unless there are absolute raving ADHDers as well, and you're like, yes, let's join the party. But so you do mask, but it's for a short period of time. You know, it's for a short period of time, which is fine. It gets you through. You go to an interview, you've been in an interview for an hour, 2 hours, maybe something like that, and then you come out and then back to yourself again. But masking day in, day out, all day is horrific, as we know now.
yeah,
Um, so it's yeah. So I've started to unmask in certain places. You know, the first people I guess outside of family that I told was work. Um, I know a lot of people don't do that. They don't want to speak to work about it. They're a bit conscious. They don't know what's going to happen. But those answers gave me the yeah. I don't care who knows. I really don't care. I really don't care because I'm still in that euphoric bubble. Year and a half down the line, I don't care. I'll talk to anyone about it. If you're not going to help, you're not going to support. Well, I'll get rid of you. Don't care. And I told my supervisors, you know, this is what I need from you. This is what I'm struggling with because I couldn't say it beforehand because I just didn't know. I don't know why I can't listen to what you're saying. I just
mm.
can't. I can't put it into words. But now I can. So if you want me to do something, right, just give me one sentence. Tell me what to do. I'll go do it. don't give me waffle with it because I'm then not going to remember what you just asked me. So I've started putting all those. This is what I need, and this is how it is, and it's been easier. I take these to work all the time as well, just to help me out. This is a fidget tangle.
Oh yeah, I got one of those.
I
Yeah.
love them. I absolutely tangle. I've tried the cubes, stuff like that, and they're okay. Spinners do nothing for me. I like something I don't need to look at it. I can just
See,
mess with.
I like chewing on a pen, but nowadays, where you've got Zoom or you're on a camera, you can't get away with it.
No, you can't. No. So I've been sitting here just doing this. Just so yeah. Um, and then who am I? Ugh, my wife.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I unmask. I unmask the most with my wife. Um,
You would hope that because you live with it.
yeah. I mean, but
Yeah.
at times there are certain times that I'm not gonna say I put the mask on. I don't know how to explain it really. I won't say I put it on because I'm not trying to hide anything, but I'm not. I guess I'm not just allowing something to happen. I have to. I'm gonna have to put a lot of effort into remembering something or to get something done, or you know what I mean. I've got to put something on to be able to.
Yeah.
Whether that's a mask or not, I don't know. Um,
It's a type.
because
It's a type of mask, isn't it? It's
yeah, maybe yeah. I don't know, but when for me, my wife, my son are priorities, and whether it's a mask needs to go up or down, I haven't got a clue. Um, but I am more comfortable with them than anyone else. And then my parents as well. You know, family's family. My parents have always been massively supportive of me. Um,
you did a
so
podcast with your mum, didn't you? You did a podcast with your
I
mum.
did,
That's
I
lovely.
did.
Yeah.
Bless her. I'm so proud of her for doing that. I did not think for a minute that she would come on and do that. Um, but yeah, she's great, and she listened to the podcast, and I see a lot of that. And she talked about the RSD and all that. She goes, and it's weird because we never talked about it. You know, between ourselves about how we feel. I
Oh
mean,
wow. It's the first time.
it's a weird thing. Our family are my parents are brilliant. They are parents that you can go and talk about anything to, and they will listen. And I chose not to because I chose not to tell anyone about depression, anxiety because stigma, and I couldn't understand it. I just didn't know, and I can't. When someone asked me why, I haven't got a clue. It didn't make any sense. Therefore, I don't speak about stuff. I don't, if it doesn't make sense to me. But the ADHD made sense. I'll talk to anyone. So I'm like,
And
she listened and she's like, yeah, I get that. I get this as well. And now we talk about it. All those things that I won't say we clashed with, but all those things that, I was struggled with at a time. And she's like, why are you doing this? And then she will struggle something. And I'm like, why are you like this? But we now know why. And then, if we come up with conversations and there's something that's going on, or feeling a bit down about something, we'll say it. It's just weird that I didn't get that text, and now I feel really overwhelmed with the fact that they don't like me anymore. And it's like we had that conversation. It's more open now, and it's nice, and it's open with my wife as well. We talk about stuff. But my wife said something really interesting the other week actually, because I was talking about learning more about ADHD and stuff, and she goes, I don't really need to. I don't see that. She understands it and everything. And for like half a second, I was like, what do you mean? But then she said that, well, everything you go through, I don't go, "Oh, it's because of the ADHD. If you need time away and put your headphones on and stuff like that, I think that's my husband struggling and he needs to do this.
Oh,
I don't need to go to the ADHD. I just my husband needs this. Let's support him and give him that.
that's lovely.
And I thought, damn, okay, yeah, yeah. No, I like that, and it's cool. It's great. It makes sense to
What
her.
do you,
She doesn't need to know. I need to know. I need to know. You know, with my son,
yeah,
he's autistic and ADHD, and I need to know the information.
yeah.
But she's very much this is what you struggle with. Let's support that struggle.
She
With
just accepts who you are.
yeah, 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 yeah. Always from day one. Literally the
That,
only person outside of my family who's ever accepted me for me.
yeah,
Never asked me to change, never asked me to stop doing anything. It's just, "There you
yeah.
go. That's you. I love you. There you go."
Well, that's why you married her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awesome. She's absolutely awesome.
She does.
Yeah.
She does sound it. I mean, because the thing is, as well with ADHD, is kind of James read the when I first mentioned ADHD. There's no way you got that. Don't be so silly. He read the symptom list and the difficulties and the processing stuff, and he went, "But that's your whole personality." He completely changed, which then begs the question: what is my personality? You know, it's difficult to know what is just that aspects of your quirk, because the bits that I put down to, oh, I'm just quirky, because people have always said that, you know. So, but they're all ADHD. So I'm not just quirky.
Yes. I
And,
That's something I've thought about for a while, because when I first got diagnosed with that, you start looking at things online, and people say, "Well, don't let this define you because you've got that, and then this is the other part of you." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." And then I started thinking of, well, e- everything the ADHD affects is personality traits, your
mm,
choices, how you act, how you think, what you cope with. You know what I mean? It's all I mean, I'm sure there is, I don't know. I'm no doctor, I have no scientists, but I can't think of anything that isn't affected personality-wise by ADHD. So if that's the case, then I am ADHD. Not I have ADHD, I am ADHD because it determines who I am. It determines how I'm talking to you. It determines how I'm thinking, how I'm thinking to answer your questions. It determines about what I'm doing with my hands right now as I'm talking to you. All this setup that I've got in here is because of the ADHD. All this setup for my podcast, most of it I don't use. Is to do with my ADHD. You know what I mean? Everything. How I got up this morning, how I was this morning, how I'm going to be when my son gets back from school, and this evening I go to work. Everything is because of my ADHD. So therefore, it
but
just
we're
must
all
be
so
ADHD.
different. But we're all, the community is so diverse, and we're all so different. So if it was as easy as that and black and white, we'd all be carbon copies, or like not you so much because you say you've got that inattentive, which you're calling for people to come on your show and talk about that. But under the whole bracket of ADHD, we're all so different and diverse. So
We are, but it's still ADHD. So you've got the different areas of ADHD, but in different sort of quantities, I guess, and different
but
strengths.
we still interpret the information differently, I guess, our backgrounds, who our peers, our interests, that kind of thing. So fundamentally, we're all kind of come from different places, I guess.
Yeah. So your social, is it psychosocial pressures and things, influences have a massive impact on your ADHD. So if me and you had exactly the same ADHD, the exactly same symptoms and the same strengths, and it was literally we have twinned ADHD, exactly the same. But you had, I don't know, wonderful, comfortable home environment, and school was lovely because the teachers just happened to be wonderful, and they just liked you, so they helped you more. And I was been in foster care.
Yeah.
Uh, I, you know, my teachers were awful, and I had a hard time at school. I got bullied for other things. I just can't settle on a job. You work for, your best friend who, just loves you for you, and everything's cool. Now, my symptoms are going to show a lot more than yours because the life has brought it out and made it worse. You know what I mean? Um, So yeah, the everything around you can make a massive difference on how your ADHD presents. If I'm inattentive, therefore I'm always going to be inattentive, but there's certain aspects is going to make it a lot worse.
Mm.
And there's certain scenarios that's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, I was very encouraged by the way you described medication, because for me that's why I want to persist with a diagnosis, a route to medication. Um, but by that, when you talked about reading a book, not being able to, I used to be able to many years ago. Then I had children, and it just was not impossible. And I've tried picking up books, and I have to read the same page over 9 times, and I'm
That's
like,
my
oh,
new
I
book.
give up.
That's my new book that I'm reading.
I can't see it. What's it called?
How not to murder your ADHD kid. This is by Sarah Sarah Templeton. She came on the podcast a little while ago. We talked about the prison in the prison service,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
A brilliant
yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
So yeah, she wrote this. So I
Oh,
told her I was going to get it, and it's really good so far. I've only just started it really, but
I
it's good.
think that's a really important subject, kind of around prisons and suicide, the rates
I
of,
thought you meant how not to murder your kids.
Oh no, no,
Um,
no. Well, yeah, I suppose that is an important subject, but
yeah, no, yeah, that is very important subject, and that needs to be tackled. I can't believe it hasn't been tackled, but
yeah,
yeah. So it's I don't. What were we talking about?
masking, and then we went into
Was- w-
you reading a book, reading a book.
Oh, medication as well. Yeah, yeah. Medication has been fantastic for me, not for everybody. But the main thing was to help me with the overstimulation and calming my head. But to read a book has been brilliant. It's been really good to actually read a book and remember it. I can still tell you the general story of the first book I read, which was Christmas. I got it Christmas the year before, so Christmas 23. Um, you know what I mean? And I haven't been able to tell anyone anything that I've read in any depth, in shape or form, after 5 minutes of reading
Mm,
something.
mm.
So that's pretty spectacular in my world, you know.
So does it zone out those kind of, like, just my thoughts are just so, like, so many thoughts all at the same time, all going around and around, weighing things up. It's like, just my brain functions like a bit of a spider web. There's so many I don't know, but yeah, try and read a book, thinking about something else, or just not being able to remember some multiple things. So that's quite encouraging.
It took me a long time because I really tried to work out why I couldn't read. Um, I mean, I could read, but why I couldn't remember anything that I read.
Yeah.
Nothing was made, and before the diagnosis, and I think that was maybe the first thing that I realized what was going on before the diagnosis and put it towards ADHD. That it's when I'm reading. And I am reading and I'm reading the words. I can read the words out loud as well, but my mind will go off and then come back.
Mm.
And I hear a lot of like you explained that you'll get through a page and then you can't remember a page. And I start thinking, well, I can't even get through the page, and sometimes it's just a sentence, and
Mm.
I'll read a couple of words, the first 3 or 4 words of a sentence, and then my mind comes back, and I'll carry on reading, and now I've forgotten what the
Yeah.
beginning was about, and now the second half of the sentence now doesn't make any sense because I can't remember this bit. So now I have to go back again, and then sometimes I get stuck on a couple of words. I have to go back, and I'm like,
Mm.
"It is, it is, it is, it is," and then sort of move on, and hopefully that I've remembered it is. Um, and it's like, oh my god, I could go. It would take me like 10 minutes to get through like a little paragraph.
Mm.
To the point where
Frustrating.
yeah, and I just didn't bother. I just didn't bother because it
Mm.
was so hard to do, and it was pointless because I am not going to remember. Um,
It's
and my the journey began when I was trying to research stuff for for our son. Before he got diagnosed, we were like trying to work out what's going on, and I did a an online course, I saw it free. An introduction to mental health problems. I don't know, level 1 or 2 or something. And you're meant to do, I think it's an hour of reading all this stuff per night. And then at the end of the week, each week, you'll just get a little sort of test. An hour of I was
mm.
8 hours a day. Benefits of being a stay-at-home dad. 8 hours a day, every day, because I had to go through so many times, and it was mentally the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, because for anyone else, for any other reason, I would not have pushed myself so hard to do it,
Mm.
because I wouldn't got anywhere close to that level of mental torture for
Yeah.
any homework or exams or courses or anything like that for myself. No, 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 no. I would have just failed because I just wouldn't be able to do it. But because I have to help my son, that's one thing that was just driving me, and it was torture,
Yeah.
absolutely torture. Having to read, it was, man, it was like it felt, I can't really expect. It was just so hard to not be able to grasp that I just read those 2 words, and now I can't remember those 2 words, but have to keep repeating it and going through it, and it took so long. It was just exhausting.
It sounds
So
excruciating, and
it
it's like
was,
it's positive that you can now read a book. So if anything else comes up for your son, it won't
yeah,
be
it's
excruciating.
yeah. I mean, everything I read basically is to do with neurodivergence, so it's ADHD and it's
Right, okay.
autism, um, and it was and it's good. I mean, yeah, there are times when things can override it.
Mm.
So if things are too noisy in the house and I'm not going to be able to concentrate, and it still needs to be fairly quiet. And there are times when maybe the meds don't really touch the sides, and I'll have to read that sentence again, which is fine. I just have to read it once again and then carry on. The best thing for anybody if they struggle, in my point of view, I mean, in an ideal world, just speak to someone and you get help done. Okay, there we go. But that's in most cases is not going to happen. I understand that, but is to get yourself into a community of like-minded people. Um, I wouldn't be doing any of this. I wouldn't be talking as much. I wouldn't have anywhere near the information that I have now on an ADHD if it wasn't for the ADHD and the neurodiverse community, who are just so welcoming and accepting. And I don't have to be anyone else except for just me, and we all accept each other, and it's great, and that has been such a big help. So it doesn't have to be neurodiverse. If it could be depression, could be anything. Find a community, find people, guess online, who cares, you know what I mean? you
Yeah.
know I don't know any of you personally outside of the online community, but you guys have helped me so much. And it's massive. And I think, we spend too much time thinking we are alone.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the hardest things. We are alone, and you reach out, you speak to someone, and they slam it in your face just to solidify the fact that you are alone, you
Mm.
know. Um, but you're not alone. You are not alone.
And
It's just finding the people.
and Instagram has a beautiful community of ADHD people.
Yeah,
People have said that haven't got ADHD, but the neurodiverse community has welcomed them in. These a lot of people with chronic illnesses and things like that. So it's a really, I've like I tried for my chronic illness. This isn't ADHD, but I was on Facebook years ago. I found it harder, and it made me feel more alone. But the Instagram community. It's like you can sort of dip in and out as
yeah,
the brain permits.
yeah. It's amazing. People are really just really welcoming. I mean, I've seen things on social media. Like I've like woken up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then looked at the phone as you do, and someone's put down like, I'm really struggling. I have a hard day today, and I'm really struggling. I really need someone to talk to. And then that time in the morning, people go, "I'm here. How can I help?" And people, it's like, damn. I mean, that's you can't get that from paid services,
Yeah,
but you can get it from people who you don't know. You just put on, I just need someone to talk to. I'm really struggling. You know, I just don't want to do this anymore. How can I help? Let's have a chat. And it's like, wow, you
it
know,
is such a welcoming community, isn't it? And
yeah,
it kind of it really is, and it does open your eyes up and open doors. I think.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you so much. Really, thanks, Steph, for doing this. It's been quite nice to talk. I might have to
I
cut
did.
some of my waffle out, but no, it's
Oh,
been really really nice.
yeah, you look
Um,
after yourself, and thank you.
no, and thank you as well. And for anyone who's listening, hopefully there'll be someone who's listening after I posted this. Um, as always, guys, be good, be kind, and remember, you're not alone. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.